it's been on since, but it has to have a red button next to it. Can anybody try from their end? Is it recording? Does it have the
recording has started.
Oh, okay, cool. All right. Okay. All right, that's good. Because mine says start recording. Mine doesn't say it hasn't even. Sure, yeah, it's recording, yeah. Okay. All right. Now, who wants to go first?
Can I go first? Because I'm scared my internet will break again.
Okay, can.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. Wait. How do I share screen?
Barbara?
What? What the heck?
Barbara? Oh, okay, you're back.
Oh my God. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Like I said, it could be the Microsoft Teams because same thing happened in my class. I was like talking and then suddenly I got kicked out and then I had to come back in again. So, so students just kind of waited for me. So yeah, don't worry about it. Okay. You can try again.
I'll share screen now.
All right.
We understand.
Barbara, are you sharing anything right now? Nothing is showing, and your mic is muted. Oh, Barbara is leaving. Oh dear. I think the internet connection is really, really bad. Do you all face the same problems with class? How that she's back again. You're like you're playing peekaboo with us, It's like I can see you now, I can't see you. I can see you now, I can't see you.
Why is it like this?
It's okay.
So I have this. Can you see my screen?
Not yet.
No. Let me open this. All right. Do you see like this Microsoft Word here?
Okay, it's coming now. Something is coming up. Yes, I see.
All right.
I see Word. I see the Word document. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Go ahead.
These are basically just my bullet points, like ungrammatical literature review, like my commentary on stuff that I've read for like my materials. So, like 2 weeks ago, during our last consultation, you did give me an outline on like what to look at, what aspects to look at for my literature review. So one of them was chosen one narratives, anti-hero, and then here orphan, the orphan archetype, and I also throw in a bit in my notebook here about the hero narrative also, because I noticed that when I reread the novel Carry On, Simon Snow is actually a hero. He's just not. He does have the magical qualities, but it's just that he doesn't know how to harness them, unlike his other students. I mean, other friends. Like he's like Harry. He's a wizard, but he just doesn't know how to conjure them properly. So he does have heroistic traits, but then he also acts like an anti-hero. So that one I'm not so sure. I would like to ask for clarity on that one from you, Doctor. Is that okay later? So then, yeah. So this one, I've gotten these materials from not only journal articles but also like online magazines and also YouTube videos. So like this one here, I wrote the title and then from where is it written, at the year, and also who's the writer. This one is quite short. Chosen one in genre literature. Stobach says that it's a well-known trope in literature, so I agree with that because, um, in a way that Carry On is not the only book that has the chosen one type. You know, it's a narrative that authors always use in stories. And then there's another article here that I found from a online magazine, about the chosen one versus the one who chooses. Um, I don't know if it's a he or she, but this writer says that, um, when we read fiction about the chosen one narrative, there's actually like a line between those two types of protagonists. Like sometimes when we read, we think that the protagonist is the chosen one, but what if the protagonist is actually the one who chooses, to carry out the plot or like go on that journey of the chosen one. So I wrote here like Harry Potter is a hero, but Simon Snow is not so. Though Simon is technically a hero, he's just bad at conjuring magic. And then the writer also summarized that endings for stories in the Chosen One narrative is like a reward for the character's previous actions. It gives us, the reader, like some sort of satisfaction after we finish reading it. And then I have like other notes here, which is Young Adult Friday, written by Malloy, 2019. This writer explains that protagonists in this trope is usually unbelievably talented, but that's not the case for Simon Snow in Carry On. He's the opposite of it. He's not that talented. Then other traits Chosen One would have is they are inhumanely heroic. Then they often react to their Chosen One status in predictable ways, which is true because I did read somewhere that someone said the Chosen One narrative is a stale method of writing in fiction now, because I don't know, as the reader, you can predict already what this character is going to do. So yeah, that's why Malloy wrote that often react to Chosen One status in predictable ways, which I agree. And then other than that, Chosen Ones, they often have this characteristic of like they usually resist, or want to try to avoid their destinies, like escape from it. Like we can see it in The Hobbit, for example, the prequel to Lord of the Rings. What's the name of that Hobbit? The Hobbit doesn't really want to go on a journey. He just wants to stay at home. So he just wants to avoid all that journey with Gandalf. And then there's another one here, exploring Chosen One trope in science fiction fantasy. This writer explains again that it's a trope that predates the genre of fantasy and literature itself. I watched a video of Rainbow Rowell in, like, there's a conference, it's not a conference, she gave a speech about her book. And she mentions that when she wrote Carry On, it has like, if the readers actually look carefully in the whole narrative that she wrote in Carry On, there's actually biblical elements to it besides it just being the Chosen One narrative. Where is that note that I wrote here? I think I wrote it here. Yeah. She said that, Chosen One narratives has like biblical elements to it, like how Jesus is the Chosen One. That's what she said, like I quote her, and she always says that mostly the chosen ones are usually a he, but I would like to disagree on this part because I think nowadays most fiction, uh, young adult fiction, they have chosen ones who are female as well. So maybe I can like write something about this. Like I disagree on that part. Then what else Rainbow Rowell says about her book? So yeah, and then from the video, she also states that her book Carry On started off as a fan fiction but ends up as a novel of its own. It's like a totally separate narrative from Fangirl. And she can't walk away from chosen one narratives, even though she says it's very repetitive. But because I don't know, like I said earlier, it gives the readers clarity, which she herself mentioned in the interview. It gives readers clarity, when people read chosen one narratives, and that the book is actually a response to a Harry Potter novel. And then she takes fandom. I think she takes fandom culture seriously as well because she herself is a fan of several, I think like several things. So when she wrote Carry On, she actually wants to give people in any fandom sort of like justice. Like I wrote here, yeah, in Carry On, she's giving justice to minor characters that she knows people love, but it's often never discussed or elaborated enough in stories. But the good side about this point is that because there's not much done about these minor characters, it gives fans in the fandom a chance to do a lot of them. Reference to one of a quote in the video, someone like Draco Malfoy in Harry Potter. So basically what Harry Potter didn't do, she does it in Carry On. And then besides chosen one trope, I also looked at the orphan archetype, though this one is a bit difficult for me to find in terms of like textbooks or journal articles that are like quite recent. I'd say like 10 years-ish, within a 10-year window. I did find a book about the orphan, but then it only gave me like the first 30 pages of the book, and then I couldn't find the rest of it, but I'll keep on trying, try to find it illegally maybe. So yeah, the orphan archetype, what I found about it, like what past studies have done about it. From this book, it's not a book. This one is from a magazine. Myers said that orphans are popular in film, aside Chosen One as well, because it generates instant sympathy from the audience. And then being an orphan in any fiction narrative, it taps into an existential sense of aloneness. The orphan grows up into adulthood with a pronouns need to answer the question at the root of all stories, like who am I? So basically, like authors who use the orphan archetype, I notice is that I think their main idea, they want their discover their identity. I think from all this reading that I've done, I can like just probably summarize it that orphan, when you use the orphan archetype in fiction, it's more of like a self-discovery of oneself. And then from this one journal article, this one is a journal article written in 2017. This writer wrote that the orphan archetype is illustrated in a surprisingly large number of mythical and legendary figures. So it means that this archetype is not new. It has already been written. And then these are just some of the examples of the orphan archetypes in myths and legends, like biblical figures, Greek heroes, and also probably in also like other cultures as well. But I did not really highlight it here. I just copied and paste what I highlighted. Then yeah, I found this quote in the article, which I find interesting, written by the writer. I think the writer quote Carl Jung, saying that adolescents whose home conditions are difficult and whose unknown futures lie ahead may daydream that they are the adopted child whose real parents are royalty, and who will return to them someday to claim them. So it's like she relates the orphan archetype to this, I think. And then she also mentions that, you know, at a very early age, the mother represents the self. It's like a living connection to the character in the story, if there is. Like here, I can highlight here, the mother also carries a link to the maternal past that goes all the way back to the earth. So yeah, the orphan archetype, I understand, is mostly a narrative that's used to use for the protagonist to find their self-identity. Then I also read a bit about anti-hero. Like, this is one article written by Siegelman, An Anti-Hero's Journey. It's actually a book review about an autistic protagonist and how his overall this article that I read, it's like a review of how his protagonist, who is diagnosed with autism, goes through his journey of finding his abandoned mother. Like he abandons his father and goes to find his mother, and that his anti-hero traits are his autistic characteristics. That's what I got from this article. It's quite interesting, but it has like scientific terms in it, which I need to like look into properly. But I did read it, and then I also found an article about exploring how people enjoy anti-hero narratives and why. Basically, how and why people enjoy anti-hero narratives is because of this affective disposition theory that is being like suggested by these writers. At first, I don't know what affection disposition theory means, but here it means audiences who make moral judgments of characters in the narrative, which in turn affects the audience's enjoyment of the narrative or the story. So I guess this is one of the reasons why we audiences or readers like characters with anti-hero qualities. It's because of like they exude bad traits, but then they also do good things. So it makes, I don't know, it makes the audiences confused, but not really either. Like it makes the audiences like, am I giving sympathy to this character or what? So it's mostly prevalent in films, like films nowadays. I can like name one, probably. We can see Loki from Avengers. He has anti-hero traits. At first, we thought that he's the villain, but then he turns out to be an anti-hero. So that's one example I can use for films. And then what else have I written about anti-hero? This one is from a website of Writer's Digest. It's more of like what an anti-hero is and how writers develop anti-hero. So an anti-hero is a protagonist that is who is as flawed or more flawed than both characters, yet he is someone who disturbs the reader with his weakness and is sympathetically portrayed and magnifies the frailties of humanity. So that's the definition of anti-hero from this website. So these are just some of the things that I collected over the past 2 weeks. I have more, but they're all in like video form that I haven't summarized yet. Yeah. We can quote videos in our thesis, right, Doctor?
What do you mean by videos? Like
the
citations
like the
from
Rainbow, yeah, like the Rainbow Rowell conference thing that I watched. We can like quote them, right, and then like
Okay.
cite.
Yeah, you can cite from it for sure. As I explained to all of you, the last supervision, as long as it is a sound source, an academically sound source, or such as journals, you know, or even popular magazines, or and the sound source has a kind of an editorial board, has a review panel, you know, or it has a proper citation. That means you can refer to it somewhere. Then yes, you can use it. Yeah.
All right. So that's all from me for now. I could send this draft to you if you want, Doctor, because I think I did not really present everything properly. If you'd like to review.
Not necessarily, Barbara, but I have some ideas and thoughts. I'm going to just listen to all three of you, and then I will summarize and give you my thoughts at the end for everyone. I have a meeting at 3:30. My boss just messaged us asking us to meet at 3:30. So I was like, oh, okay. So he usually meets us if there's something urgent. So I know I would have to attend. So I want to hear from everybody. So even if I don't have time, I know I will be able to summarize my thoughts later. So, but I want to hear from everyone. But well done, Barbara. It was, you know, like the analogy that I use. You have to cast your net. Imagine you're a fisherman. You cast your net. You're not sure what you're going to be pulling with you. You know, it might be a old shoe, it might be a big fish, it might be corals, but you never know. So you, at this stage, cast your net far and wide and keep trying to catch as good stuff as possible. Later, after mid-semester break, I'm going to ask you to kind of sift through where is Ida? Ida, you've disappeared.
She might be glitching like me.
Okay. As long as she's here. Is she here?
She's here, Doctor.
All right, cool. Yeah, so later, in another few weeks, I'm going to ask you to now sift through all the content of your literature review and categorize it according to some kind of a structure. So we'll go stage by stage, but it's going to be enjoyable. So well done, Barbara. Wawa, do you wanna yes, round of applause, yes. Okay, Wawa, would you like to go
all
next?
that I go through being disconnected. Yeah.
It's a very good presentation. I feel kind of scared.
Yeah, but Ida is out.
I think she's having some problem with her internet.
Yeah.
She said she's trying. I lost my connection.
Okay, I'm calling her in.
Yeah, my slides here.
Okay, go ahead and share your slides first.
Can everyone see this?
Yes, can. But let's just wait for Ida to join us.
Okay. Okay, tell me when she is here because I can't see anyone right now.
Did she message us that she got
She said she lost her connection. I'll wait. I'm trying. Let me text her.
Because, Doctor, I noticed that every time I have classes using Microsoft Teams, it's always like this.
I know, right?
It's like lagging.
It's Microsoft Teams that is problematic. I had supervision last Friday with a student in Iraq. We finally just use Zoom. So if this is the case, I wouldn't mind using Zoom the next time we meet, you know. It's just that I like to use Microsoft Teams because I can keep the recordings there. You all can come in anytime to have a look, and it's like our LMS, you know. Okay, Ida is in. Okay, Wawa, come on. We don't want to lose Ida again, so let's go for it. Welcome back, Ida.
Basically my topic.
Sorry.
So basically my topic is an analysis of Nikita Gill's Fierce Fairy Tale, but I'll be changing that title to something more interesting. This is just the base. Okay. So I've chosen my 5 of my poetries, which is Share Her the Clever, Wonderland Villain, Take Back Your Fairy Tale, The Little Mermaid's Mother, Speaks to Her Unborn Baby, Difficult Damsels. So this is the first one. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Scheherazade the Clever is basically.
Shahrizad.
Hi, Sherry.
First of all, is your slide changing? Because we're still at slide 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay, now we're changing to slide 3. Slide 2 we missed.
Okay. Just the slide 2 is the the title of the
Scheherazade, yes.
Okay, this is the first poem that I chose. It is from the 1001 Night Stories from the Middle East, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So basically, like everyone knows how the story goes. Like the king kills all of his wife, except for this woman right here. I'm trying to avoid to say her name because
Scheherazade. Say Scheherazade.
Scheherazade. Okay.
Yeah. Could you go back? Wawa, sorry. Could you go back to slide 2 because I missed it? Yeah. Hang on. So these are all poems, yes?
Yes, it is.
All right, cool.
Okay, this is the first. This is actually an excerpt from the poem. It's not the full poetry because it's quite long, but basically, the poem goes. The poem talks about how people don't like this girl because she is smart, she is amazing. So people don't want women who are amazing. Therefore, they call her a witch or something like that. So I'll be thinking critically about that, but let's see how it goes. So the second one is Take Back Your Fairy Tale. This is the poem. Can everyone see it?
Yeah, I can see it.
Okay, because I can't see anyone's faces right now, so I don't know how you guys look.
Really?
Yeah, I can. I'm just looking at my slides right now. So this is the second poem that I will try to do. As you can see from the second stanza, meet each other in the womb of your enchanted dreams, Snow White and Sleeping Beauty. So it is talking about Snow White and Sleeping Beauty, how they were woken up by a kiss from the Prince Charming without their consent. So this is Nikita Gill's way of saying, don't let men do that to you. Just because you're sleeping doesn't mean they have the right to kiss you. Something like that. So the third one is Difficult Damsels. This is a very general fairy tale. It doesn't tie to any of the fairy tales that we know. It is very woman empowerment. It talks about girl power most of the time. Mostly, sorry. This is the fourth one, Wonderland villain. So basically, this is the villain from Alice in Wonderland, the Queen of Hearts. We know how people always talk about how Queen of Hearts is ugly, is obnoxious, but Giles changed the story to a way that she's not that evil actually, because people were not born evil. People were nurtured that way. Just because people are calling her ugly, people are calling her stupid, big head, so she just identify herself as someone who is evil because the society makes her feel that she doesn't belong there. So most of the poems that I chose talks about woman empowerment, talking about how girls should not be sweet. That is the thing about Nikita Gill. She despises girls who are sweet. But the thing is, women can be sweet as well as being strong. That is the thing that I feel that she is strong, for one thing, because girls can be nice at the same time be strong. Doesn't mean that girl is nice, she is sweet. No, it's not like that. And all of the poems talk about how girls should work together and be fearless. As for the literature review, I collected a lot, but I still haven't finished reading all of it because I don't know. It's like every time I try to read one literature, one article, it just can't process in my mind. So I have to like reread all of the articles again, and it's quite hard. So the first literature review that I'll be doing is about the author, Nikita Gill. So we all know she's an Indian British writer and has now created 6 volumes of poetry, and I'll be doing the book Fierce Fairy Tales. And the thing about Nikita Gill is that not a lot of people are doing research about her poetry, so I have to try hard and find other alternatives such as interviews, video interviews. So I have to listen to the interviews and write down all of the important stuff, which is another time consuming, but I will do it because I really like the way she speaks. I like British accent, so it doesn't bother me that much. The second one is the book. I'll be talking about the book for my literature review. The classic fairy tales carefully combined with the subjects of empowerment, love, feminism, abuse, and mental illness. Yeah, I'll be talking about feminism mostly. It tells the world how no damsels in distress ever needed a prince to save her and turns the helpless heroine into an empowered free woman. I actually found another article last night about this book, but I haven't actually read the whole article just yet, so I'm saving it, but I'll be doing it later. I'll insert it later. And then the third one that I'll be doing is about fairy tales. What is fairy tales? Why is it important in our life? How it is affecting how we live, how we think. And it's quite interesting because I learned a lot from this article, Luti, and also other. These are the what I call it, the reference that I collected about fairy tales. So that is it for now from me. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Barbs. Yeah, very supportive. I like this group. I'm sorry, doctor, your mic is muted.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Thank you very much, Wawa. That was really good. I'll save my comments till later. Aida, next.
Okay, I'll be presenting what I've prepared since I just decided my title. Okay, can everyone see my slide? Okay. Okay, my research will be like a study of poetry as therapy of harassment through Rupi Kaur's poetry. This is because most of her poetry really relates to sexual harassment and violence. I don't really sure because I need to do further research whether she herself faced this or she just speak for someone else. Okay. The issues for my research will be harassment, violence, and healing as in therapy. And the corpus is, of course, poetry of Rupi Kaur. Okay, I choose Rupi Kaur because she is a Canadian writer who became popular by her Instagram posts. First publication book is Milk and Honey, which hit as a #1 bestseller by New York Times. She's also has boldly poured her heart out in her poems and illustration. Actually, her books is self-published. She first published her book when she's still a student. She's also a liberal feminist writer who boldly exposed the exploits of men. She is a powerful writer but has yet not been noticed in the literary academia. So that's why there's not much article has been written so far on Rupi Kaur's work. I have to look up for a few just same like Nikita Gillis. I have to look for the video interviews and some magazines interviews also. But there are few journal article about a research about his milk and honey books before, and I'll be checking it more deeply later. Okay, why I choose these issues? Because violence against women and girls, and specifically sexual harassment, takes place in social and cultural contexts rooted in patriarchal system, which are reproduced through symbolic representation, belief, and practice. I choose therapies because in poetry, because poems can be interpreted as being about someone other than the reader himself. Poetry therapies also propose that literature can be used as a safer way to bring up issues, point out problems, or confront inconsistencies in a resistant participant who, oh, sorry, um, who will discussing, who is not um, comfortable to discuss about his personal issue, her personal issue, his own life. So it's, if it is about someone else, she's more open to talk about it. Okay, next, poetry as therapy. The terms, as I said before, it is bibliotherapy, a very common term for poetry therapy, becomes popular in 1960 and 1970s. Okay, and then the benefits of poetry reading and writing is not only help define the I, but also the strength in the poems, where you as a reader can relate to the poems, so you know how to express it. Okay, next. Okay, why I choose this poem? I'll show you, Doctor, the poems that I've choose, because I'm afraid that the poems that I choose is not suitable enough for my title, or whether I misinterpret the poems. Okay. I choose this poem because it shows profound misogyny, which is reflected in writing. Women, where they expect love as are written, but it is written with hate. The love they get from the male gender is akin to incest and rape. The poems are replaced with hate for men and male relatives who exploit her and handle her like a commodity. Okay, the first poem is actually this. There's no title for this poem. I don't know why. I'm looking for it. Okay. What do just a general meaning that I understand from this poem is, she wants to see that she's being raped, and she feels dirty after that. She really want to wash it off, because she don't want to be feel like that. She didn't like herself after she's being raped, so she expect that it didn't happen. Okay, this is for the first poem, and the second poem is um the title for this is Addiction. What I understand from this poem is she's being raped again and again, and to the point that she become addicted to it. She's trapped to that. Okay, and then where she's, if she didn't get that should I say pleasure, she's going through some kind of panic attack that she don't know how to control herself. From this poem, from what I understand.
Aida, can you make it bigger? Can you make the trying to read whilst you're the yes? Can you just?
Okay, sorry.
Okay, this is all right as well. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. That's what I understand from this poem.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. For the third poem is the title is Fingers. From this poem, I can see that she's being abused in the relationship, but she keeps on accepting his forgiveness. From the stanza of one day you are angry, they ball into fists and she will cry. But as they shake for forgiveness, she'll see that what apologies look like. Like even though she is being abused here, but she still forgive her partner because of love, because that to say things word can describe that. I don't know, maybe this is just my interpretation.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, fourth one is our knees pried open by cousin and uncles and men, our body touched by all the wrong people, that even in a bed full of safety, but we are afraid. From what I can see is from this poem, she's actually being raped and harassed by her own family, even though she's with her family, but she didn't feel safe anymore.
Okay.
Okay. The last poem is the title would be midweek session. From this, we can see that it is actually she is a trauma because she has been molested and raped by her uncle, but she don't know how to express it until the therapist put um, the doll in front of her so that she can tell the therapist where do she get molested group or something.
Okay.
Okay, so far this is what I've prepared for the slide. And I'm planning to I'm not planning, I'll be do more deep research for this, and it's just that I don't know how to put my thought in words.
Okay, thank you very much, Aida. Okay, right. So I've heard from all three of you, and first of all, round of applause for the good work. You know, I think I want us to kind of take moments in our very hectic schedule to recognize the amount of work we have done, the amount of reading we have done, and the distance we have come the last 5 weeks in developing our research focus. Take a moment to kind of appreciate, like Wawa says, it's a lot of reading, yeah, but it's worth it because this is an area you want to write about. And I can even see all three of you writing a kind of a journal article based on this research. I can see the potential because because the area is unique, because the topic is maybe not sufficiently researched on, like your like Nikita Gill, like Rupi Kaur, and Rainbow Roll. Not enough work has been done, academic research work has been done. So you will definitely benefit the body of knowledge in this area if you work towards getting at least one publication out, and I will help you with that. We can co-write when the time comes, so I can already see a potential. But in order to get there, this work that you are doing right now, the literature review, is super crucial. You are trying to find a significant gap or issue in this area. You're trying to kind of identify a significant gap in this area, and that's why this moment that you are working on this research, this literature review, that's why it is super crucial. It's like, you know, it's really, really significant. The work that you're doing is really significant, it's really crucial. So, you know, you may be looking at the notion of the chosen one. You may be looking at tropes of, you know, fairy tale tropes, or construction of women. You may be looking at symbolic representation of abuse or harassment, and how that affects the reader, the writer, you know, whatever it is that you are interested in. Your thesis is important, your thesis statement. You develop your thesis statement with enough amount of reading past research, not necessarily past research in the corpus that you are interested in, or on the writer that you are interested in, but also past research on the issue that you are interested in. Okay, so what I'm hearing today, you are so far your research, your literature review is predominantly on the area of the corpus, as well as the writer or the poet. Okay, so what I want you to start aiming for is to kind of broaden your search, so cast the net slightly wider in a slightly different scope, or a slightly different perspective, by looking at the issue. So when you are Googling, maybe Google the chosen one and popular culture, or Google gender construction and gender construction and Instagram poems for Wawa, or binary sense of identity and gender construction for Wawa, or violence in popular poetry, or violence in popular culture for Ida. How bibliotherapy affects the reader, how bibliotherapy affects the writer, violence within patriarchal culture, you know, all these things for Ida. So you can review these recordings, but what I want you to do is to kind of move slightly away from your corpus, so that when you are doing your search, you are not restricted by the corpus. So you've done a kind of a survey on the corpus, and you find that maybe your poet or your writer is not getting enough critical work done on their work. Okay, so you've established that. You've got something to write there. Now you want to review about the issue that you are interested in. So whatever the issue that you have chosen, you know, you want to start to review that. Will you stick to the review after this? Maybe after your review, will you stick to the same issue? Not necessarily. So Barbara, you gave us the chosen one, the orphan archetype, and the anti-hero trope. So maybe you review each one separately, the chosen one in popular culture, the orphan archetype in popular culture, anti-hero in popular culture. So the issue is how popular culture, because all of you, your texts fall within the broad umbrella of popular culture, okay? Because these are contemporary fictions. These are not award-winning necessarily. Yes, they are bestsellers. They are, you know, maybe they are bestsellers in different countries. So, but they are still part of popular culture. What I mean by popular is they are popular within their context, maybe an American context, Rupi Kaur, maybe in the Canadian or the Western Hemisphere, the American Canada context. So this notion of popular culture is something you need to also explore in your literature review. All three of you will have some form of discussion. Either you foreground popular culture or you incorporate that in your reading. So that's the first thing I want you to do. So review the issue against popular culture. So it could be the chosen one. It could be with Wawa, I haven't kind of like figured it, but when I'm listening to your discussion, what I hear is the gender construction. How the identity of the female is constructed. So when you showed us the first poem and the lines starts with a clever woman, that's a construct. What does a clever woman entail? What does the word clever entail? It's a construct. Yes, the dictionary gives you a definition, but this poem kind of constructs the idea of a clever woman as somebody who has these certain characteristics, and it doesn't involve getting all A's in the exam. It involves something different. So when we do the analysis, we'll look at the poem more closely for that. So it's almost like when we think about the gender construction, there is a kind of a binary. You know, it's either black or white. So this idea within theories, within the theory, we call it binary opposite. So I'm giving you these key phrases so that you can use it to Google it. So when we think about binary opposites, you know, you have things like clever. What's the opposite of clever, Wawa?
Stupid.
Yeah. So if a clever woman does that, a woman who doesn't do that automatically becomes a stupid woman, right? So it's almost like either or. So binary opposites or binary sense of identification, it has a kind of a clever, stupid, high, low, strong, weak. So it ignores shades of gray. All the shades of gray. I'm being metaphoric here. So that's why you notice in some popular songs, this notion of the shades of gray, you know, a woman's identity, it's not a black and white. It's many different shades of gray, meaning there are times when you feel great. There are times when you feel not so great, but it doesn't mean you are a bad person or an unsuccessful person. So this binary opposites almost assumes as if you are either this or that. So I want you to kind of explore that idea a little bit. Then with Ida, I feel, you know, you might be wanting to look at popular culture and violence, or popular culture and yeah, this representation of violence in a patriarchal context. Why? Because the poems that you have chosen, when you showed us some of the imageries, the perpetrators of the violence tend to be members of the family. You've got the uncle, you've got, you know, some patriarch in the family, or the within the family institution. I feel like addiction, the poem Addiction, does not deal with sexual abuse, but does deal with addiction. We might need to relook at the reading of it. Sometimes, you know, when we have a kind of in our mind, we feel like this is what this poem, or these poems by this particular writer, this is what it is about. We kind of force the reading into the poem, or onto the poem. So we want to be a little bit more careful with that, you know. So that's the thing that I want you to kind of look at. Barbara, and I'm going to go into details. Yeah, Barbara, when you look at this notion of the chosen one, consider a few things. You know, when we talk about the term the chosen one, is Barbara in here right now? Okay, because I can't see everyone's faces. So
yeah,
so
I'm here.
Okay, yeah. So when we talk about the chosen one, you know, there is an element of destiny involved. You touched about that. So you may want to Google, or you might do a research about popular culture, the chosen one, and destiny, and see the kind of research. So what we are looking for right now at this point here, okay, what we're looking at here in this aspect that I'm asking you to do a literature review on, you are reviewing past research in this past research on the topic, okay, past research on the topic within popular culture, not within the discipline of sociology, within the discipline of cultural studies. You will do that next when you want to kind of identify methodology. You know, how is this study conducted in other disciplines, like in sociology, in cultural studies. But right now we are looking at how other researchers have studied this topic, be it the theme of the chosen one, or the issue of gender construction, or the issue of violence in a patriarchal context, in other texts, you know, in any other popular text. Could be films, it could be songs, it could be advertisements, it could be books, novels, plays, poems, it doesn't matter. So we're kind of like, again, like I said, casting the net and trying to see the kind of things that we catch. You know, when you look at the issue of destiny, Barbara, you may also bring up this sense of, when we think of destiny, there is a kind of an element of a given, you know, but chances are when someone is destined for something like that, the person doesn't necessarily start off well on that journey. So you have somebody like Harry Potter, you know, starting out with mom and dad being killed in a very tragic circumstance, and he is left to be cared for by family members who do not care for him. So it's a very kind of like, he's almost like down on the dumps. So this element of the chosen one tends to start the journey in a very, sad state. And because of that, there is a kind of a tendency for the chosen one to have a sense of self-doubt. Like, no, I can't be the one. I mean, come on, look at where I am and what kind of life I've had. So there is the element of self-doubt. So I'm thinking of a movie called The Matrix. Are you familiar with that, Barbara?
I am, but I'm too young to remember the plot.
Yeah. But if you could see The Matrix, the first movie, you will get it, because Neo's character, he doubted it even throughout the training, even after he took the blue pill and decided to kind of like join this world. He doubted it constantly. So the opposite, so always think about it in terms of the opposites. Yeah. So when you have doubt, the only way the chosen one can come to be is when there is a sense of belief. Right? So that theme of doubt and belief in what? Belief in your own sense of self. Right? If you do not believe that you are the chosen one, it will not happen. So that element of destiny, of doubt, then you brought in the element of the biblical aspects, with the element of you mentioned Prophet Moses, but then you put him under the orphan category, but I'm not sure how it is in Christianity or even in Judaism, because in Islam, Prophet Moses had family, but his family gave him away to save his life, because the Pharaoh was out to kill all the sons, the firstborns and the sons, because it was foretold that the firstborn of the people of Israel will one day kill him, the Pharaoh. So he kind of, his mom kind of had to do that. She was inspired by God to put him in a basket and let him sail down the river. That's how it is in our scripture in Quran. So he's not an orphan as much as he was given away, and then his mom was later hired to be his witness. Basically, she got to feed him, take care of him, but he was raised in the palace of the Pharaoh. So you talked about the biblical aspect, you talked about destiny, you talked about self. I want you to kind of explore this slightly more further on by looking at your search, not so much within the confines of Rainbow Rower, but broadening your search to look at how other researchers explore and investigate the chosen one motif, or the orphan motif, or the anti-hero motif. You need to decide, because then you can say, all right, this research, maybe the chosen one is not that strong, maybe it's not that prominent, but maybe it's more the anti-hero that's more prominent. So as you are reviewing it, as you're reviewing your research, you may be able to say, I'm going to change it from the chosen one to anti-hero, something like this. You may decide on that. And one thing about the anti-hero also, as you were talking, I was thinking, there's something about the anti-hero. You mentioned Loki. There's something about the anti-hero that connects with the audience. Heroes tend to have a very kind of like a high level, a high plateau. Heroes tend to be unreachable for the audience. Maybe the anti-hero, the one who does succeed in the end, but the one who perhaps has elements of the dark, meaning they doubt themselves, meaning they have shortcomings. So they sound more realistic. They're not perfect. Like if you watch the Harry Potter series and you look at Harry, it's like he doesn't seem to hate. He doesn't. It's difficult to see him really lose his humanity. And then you mentioned Draco Malfoy. My daughter's crazy. She was crazy. She's a yeah. Anyway, she loves Draco Malfoy. She's from that house as well. You know, she considers herself you know, very much a Draco Malfoy fan for the longest time. But there is the element of something about that character that I can connect to. It's not because he's dark, but because these tendencies in him makes him more real, perhaps. You put Harry Potter and him and Draco Malfoy next to each other, Harry comes across too perfect, you know, and sometimes heroes, so you may want to probe in that aspect. You may want to probe how Rainbow Rowell's heroes are not your perfect characters. So you may want to kind of combine the chosen one, the orphan, and the anti-hero, and combine and find something else, another terminology that you may find useful in your study. But in order to get that, you need to review it more. So this is why I'm suggesting to you, for your study, you may want to Google the chosen one and popular culture, and then the orphan trope and popular culture, and then the anti-hero trope or archetype or motif and popular culture. And as you read and read and read, you might be able to find one research that studied a particular corpus and the methodology of the term used is suitable for your study. So that's how you find it. So for instance, so if I Google popular culture and the chosen one trope, you know, and this is the same for Wawa, this is the same for Aida. So whatever your topic is, you just put that topic here, put the keywords here, and look at the kind of references that you get. Barbara, for instance, in this book, look at the title. I'm not even going into the book. I'm just looking at the title and I'm saying upside down, inverted tropes in storytelling. So just that concept of inverted tropes. Go into this book and find out what inverted tropes mean. Maybe there's something there that might help you in your exploration. So I'm not even Googling the author, not even Googling the title of the book. I'm just going into the literature review. I'm just going into the literature review of the issue, a tentative issue, and popular culture. So it's almost like, you know, so I'm seeing the doing a Venn graph here. I'm seeing the point of convergence between popular culture and the issue that I am choosing. So all three of you, Barbara, Wawa, and Aida, all three of you, popular culture is the thing that is a unifying factor between all three of you. The issue is something that you are fine-tuning. You haven't decided. All three of you are in the same situation. You haven't decided what exactly what is my thesis? What's my thesis? You haven't decided yet. You haven't decided yet. Thesis is basically, what's the purpose of my study? The thesis of your study is, what am I trying to prove? What am I trying to prove through this research that I'm doing? All three of you, you haven't decided yet. You kind of know certain things. You know your corpus, you know the writer, you know the kind of things that you want to explore. But the kind of things you want to explore, it's still fluid. It's still not 100% concrete. So because of that, You may Google different things. You may Google gender identity. You may Google female construction. You may Google uh, you may Google women in popular culture. You may Google girls in popular culture. Whatever keywords that Nikita Gill's poems strike in you, Wawa, Google that. Ida, you may Google violence in popular culture, sexual harassment in popular culture, addiction in popular culture, abuse in popular culture, because these are issues that you are focusing on. Then you those things might take you on a kind of a journey. As each of you explore the convergence between popular culture and the issue that you are interested in, you may read different articles that has different methodology, and based on any of these methodologies, you will like, that concept, this particular concept that this writer used, I think is relevant. That's the concept that I want to use. So you are still searching for that. Am I making any sense to any of you? Anyone?
Yes, doctor.
Yes, I understand.
Yes, yes.
So for instance, Ida, if I Google violence in popular culture, there's lots of things that are being said and spoken about. You know, violence can have a physical sense of violence. It can have verbal violence, as well as where is the place of violence in popular culture? Should we be even celebrating that representation of violence? Should we kind of condone it? Should we be critical over it? You know, so you've got this article. It's very dated. You're not even born yet. I was 5 years old. Myths of violence in American popular culture. Now, your poet is Canadian. She's a minority, so you may review a little bit about her background to find out whether she's first generation migrant, she's first generation minority Canadian, or second generation. You know, then you get a kind of a background, and then you may look at this book, Gender, Violence, and Popular Culture, telling stories. What's the importance of people who go through violence? What's the importance of them telling stories? Maybe that's your focus, because you talk about therapy. What's the importance of telling stories? What's the importance of talking about the violence that you have experienced? You know, and is that acceptance? Does telling your story, capturing it in the form of popular poetry, does that help to heal any aspect of the hurt, the pain, the abuse that the person endures? So look through these kinds of research. And Wawa, same thing. You may look at popular culture and gender. And I just Googled popular culture and gender, and you notice there are lots and lots of hits. Look at this work, gender stereotypes and assumptions. Of course, when we talk about gender here, it's general, right? Then you may want to kind of fine tune it. So you may fine tune it somewhat and look at women. I'm just giving a broad Google search female identity. Then you have the female subject of popular culture, gender and popular culture, women, gender and sexuality studies, consumption and popular culture. So you know, you may look at it and then suddenly you're like, that's actually not the area I'm interested in. I'm interested in this aspect. So as you Google and explore this further, you are fine-tuning you're fine-tuning the convergence between the main genre. This is the main genre, okay, of all three of you, the corpus that you're working on. Your main genre is popular culture, okay. So if you wanted to describe your research area, then you're saying, you know, I'm exploring an aspect of popular culture, which means in chapter 2, you will have to have a section on popular culture. You need to read a little bit. You need to contextualize your research within that area. Then within popular culture, you're looking at a particular issue, so this is the genre. So this is the issue. So the issue is still being fine-tuned, and that's the fun part, because the same writer can be read for different issues. So you don't need to feel like I have to do everything. No, you just say, look, for this research, I'm only interested in one aspect of this writer's work. And that one aspect is what I'm trying to explore right now. Are you okay so far, you guys? Hello? Can follow or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Is that too much? Is that overwhelming?
Not so, but from what I understand is that we just need to do a lot of reading from other aspects of popular culture and then find one particular academic article wherein, like, you know, when we read the methodology, we're like, oh, this is what I want to do. Like, it's suitable for what I want to research on. Like, it gives us what issue we want to work on as well.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, exactly. You see, one of the things that I look for when I'm reading other people's works is the kind of keywords that they identify as the keywords for their research. So you've got this article, the abstract is there, Introduction to Gender and Popular Culture. You look at the keywords: gender roles, gender identity, social construction, popular culture, gender socialization. So the methodology is basically looking at social construction and gender socialization in popular culture. That's what this research is about. So you can tell simply by looking at the keywords. So I don't need to read every paper that I research. I don't need to, but I can, if this paper is suitable, then I can include this paper in my reference list, right? But this this paper is looking at a particular popular film, Brave. Are you all familiar with that? It's a princess fairy tale.
Yes.
And she is a very unconventional princess. She's got red hair. Her mom tries to keep her red hair within the confines of the veil. You know, they are of that race, and they're of that generation where the women, especially princesses and queens, you know, covered themselves like that. And she is supposed to choose the man she is supposed to marry, and the man needs to demonstrate his courage and bravery and everything else. And she gets to choose how he demonstrates his courage and bravery. She chose archery because she's wicked in that. She's like really, really good. But she has to disguise herself to demonstrate how good she is. And all the guys who come forth to win her hand in marriage do not meet her level of bravery. So the movie kind of takes you on this long journey where she demonstrates to the audience her bravery. So this notion of gender identity, social construction, how does society then constructs the girl child's identity? How does society demands her to behave? That's what this movie is about. So you look at this this paper and you can tell what they look at by looking at the keywords. And these keywords might help you also. Then you can Google gender socialization in popular culture, social construction, and gender identity in popular culture. So that's how it helps. You know, you don't need to read the entire book or journal article. So similar with this. They didn't give but I would Google this. Can I not? Okay, maybe not this example, but Ida, same thing. So this idea of telling your story or narrating your story or capturing your story. First of all, we don't know whether these poems are a reflection of the poet's personal life. We don't know that for a fact unless you can confirm that, yeah? But you may look at how popular culture captures gender and violence. You may look, go into that aspect and search within that category or that issue, and see how you fare. What comes up and what kind of things that you are able to explore further. So similar with Barbara. So what I'm trying to get you all to do now is to broaden your horizon, broaden your perspective, and say, okay, I know what I'm interested in. This is my corpus, and this is my writer that I'm interested in. These are the poems, or this is the novel that I'm interested in. So how am I going to study this? That's number one. And how am I going to situate this writer and these writings within the general scope? And your scope is very wide, like how are you going to situate it? So the best way to situate it is within, usually you situate it within a national corpus, like American literature, British literature, Canadian literature, Malaysian literature, whatever. So that's one way to situate it. But another way to situate it is within a corpus of popular culture. Largely because all three texts, all three writer, poet, and writings, all three of you have chosen texts that kind of reach a wide audience, not just the American audience, not just the Australian audience. It tends to be, especially the poets, because they are published on Instagram, the kind of audience that they are getting is anyone who's on Instagram who is following them, right? So you've got the two of you in Malaysia, and you are accessing these poets. So you don't have to be somebody from a particular nation to be reading the writer's work. And because of that, their works fall within popular culture. The same with Rainbow Rowell, right? So your genre would be popular culture. I'm just going to sum up. Your issue is what you need to explore. So before you go into the methodology and everything, for your next task, I want you to continuously explore your literature review. Explore it now for different issues that still focuses on the things that you are interested in. Like fine tune the issue a little bit so that you find the point of convergence between popular culture, this part, between popular culture and the issue that you are interested in. So for the next supervision session, I want to hear a little bit more about what kind of things that you are finding, the research that you are finding based on this convergence between popular culture and the issue that you are working on. Is that all right? Any questions? Any questions?
I have.
Okay. Ida, go
Yep.
first.
Okay. Just now you said that the poem's title "Addiction" is not kind of harassment or violence,
Yeah.
right? So that means I have to look for another poems to replace.
I would say choose 10. Identify both Wawa and Ida. I would say choose 10 poems. But then when you finally decide which ones you want to include in your text, you may remove some of them. So get more, because when I was reading Addiction once through, what I would like you to do is read the poem, and the analogy of somebody who is addicted is being described in that kind of abusive relationship. So she's not describing abuse, but she is using an abusive relationship as an analogy of somebody who is in a state of addiction. I give you another example. I will send you the song. There's this singer by the name of James Taylor. I do not expect any of you to know him. He's very he's 60s 70s singer songwriter, but he's still producing and performing even today. There's one, and he suffered for a long time in his young age of addiction, drugs. His father was alcoholic. So there was this one song, and I, for the longest time, I thought he was describing a woman, and how, this woman comes to him in his hour of need. And then until I discovered that, in fact, he was describing his cocaine addiction. And he looked at the cocaine and how the cocaine comes in his hour of need, as a woman coming to comfort him in his hour of need, right? So in that poem that you showed us, addiction is described as somebody who is hurting you, but at the same time you can't let go of the hurt. So there is an element of consciousness. So the addict knows that whatever it is that he is consuming or she is consuming, maybe it's substance, maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's drugs, maybe it's whatever, maybe it's chocolate, maybe whatever the addiction is, that is bad for you, right? That is bad for you. You know you are addicted to it, but you cannot let go of it. And it's like somebody who is hurting you. So the substance is personified into a person, and that person is shown to kind of physically hurt you, but you cannot let go. So that poem is not talking about a violence in a relationship, but it's talking about substance addiction.
All right.
Yeah. So yeah. And the same with fingers. I felt like that poem was very symbolic. So we need to explore what fingers symbolizes in that poem. So I would say, for now, both Ida and Wawa, I would say, decide that you are working on this working title of a theme or an issue on on the entire collection of poems by the writer. Rather than deciding which poems you want to work with, just say you're working on the collection of poems. So you can say your corpus is a collection of poems published in 2015 or 2017. Poems that you specifically work on, that one you have to write for your methodology, chapter 3. We'll save that later. Don't worry too much about which poems am I choosing? Is this going to go away from my focus? Don't worry about that, right? Right now, focus more on what has been done by others in popular culture in the area of interest that you are focusing on, like that.
All right, okay.
Okay, and as you are exploring that, what I want you to do is update your reference list. So next time we meet, 2 things I want to see. The first is an updated reference list. So I want to have a look that you are reading the right kind of things, or rather your references are sound. Okay, so I'm going to check for that. So you know, put all the things that you have been reading, just put it there, and then I will tell you which are the ones you need to explore more and which are the ones, okay, you've done enough of that kind of reading, now move on to more academic, journalistic, research-based references. That's the first for next week, I mean for the next time. The second is the review of literature that I asked you to do, which is looking at popular culture and looking at how the theme or issue that you are interested in is being explored by other researchers. And what kind of findings do you get? Just give me as many as you can within the time frame that I'm giving you. So I'm giving you 2 weeks. So within the next 2 weeks, however many you are able to get, you know, that's fine. So I'm looking at the 2nd of December for our next meeting, inshallah. Okay, any questions?
Doctor, I have one.
Yeah.
Okay, for looking for sources, right, like academic references, I learned from my previous classes in the ELS course that it is preferable that if we find sources that are within like 5 to 10 years, 5 is the best, according to like one of our previous lecturers. But what if we found like an academic source that is, let's say, written in like early 2000s or like mid 2000s, that is somewhat relevant to our work? Like we can still use it, right? It doesn't have to have like a limited time frame, like 5 to 10.
Very, very good question. Very good question. At this point, even if it was 1975 incorporated, this is not the time to narrow your research scope. This is the time to kind of like cast, like I said, cast your net far and wide and look at how this issue that you are interested in, look at how it has been researched over the last maybe 30 years. You know, only then can you see the trend within popular culture of how this concept called the chosen one or the anti-hero, how it has evolved, how it has transformed itself from what it used to be to now. You know, maybe you may even be able to find, Barbara, you may even be able to find that, you know, once upon a time, we used to look at the chosen one from this point of view. We've then moved on to something else, and now we're going back to that. You may even see that trend. It's like we're going backwards towards the trends of the 1980s, the 1990s. Maybe Rainbow Rowell was influenced by writings of the 1980s or 70s. And so her writing tends to reflect works of writers from the past. Now, that one conclusion that you are able to explore and discover is contributing to the body of knowledge in this area. So for all three of you, one thing that we're going to target is for you to be able to say, I have like 5 main conclusions that I am able to contribute based on the poems that I have studied, or the novel that I have studied, based on this issue that I have studied, based on this methodology. I'm able to conclude these 5 key conclusions that will add to the body of knowledge in this area. Then you know your work is publishable. As a journal article, it's publishable. Because if you're not able to say anything new or significantly new, that's not a research that is going to be publishable. You will pass your project paper and all that, but towards, in order to get to the publishing kind of a mindset, even if you are able to find 3 new things, 3 significant things that other people are not saying about the writer that you are interested in, the novel that you are interested in, or the poet that you're interested in, and the issue that you are interested in, 3 key things, you have suddenly become a contributor to that area. And other people may quote your publication because they want to say, okay, these areas have not been explored and so has explored that. That's a kind of a rule of thumb. This is how you know whether your work is going to be published or not, or whether somebody will want to publish your work or not. So you're moving in that direction. But until you have explored what other people have said in that area, you will not be able to say with all assuredness that this thing I want to explore, this thesis statement that I'm trying to arrive at, hasn't been explored yet. And that includes the terminologies. So do I choose chosen one or anti-hero or the orphan trope? Do I choose gender construction, social construction, gender identities? Do I choose violence in a patriarchal context? Do I choose female empowerment? Do I choose what issue am I interested in within the domain of popular culture, specifically within the scope of this writer's work? Okay, so this is actually a fun part of your research, because you don't really know for sure your hypothesis. You don't know for sure. So you get to read, you get to see how other people are exploring it. And then when I ask you for the gap, okay, then you have to kind of say, okay, for sure, this thing that somebody else has worked on has not been, so this thing that I'm interested in has not been explored by anybody else. Okay.
All right, Doctor.
All right. Wawa has disappeared. I hope she's still there. Wawa, are you still around?
Yes, doctor, I'm still here.
Okay, cool. Wawa, that's not your baby, right? I'm just
No,
wondering.
that's my niece.
That's your niece. Okay, all right. Okay, just asking. I don't know anything about the 3 of you, your background and stuff like that. So do fill me in and let me know how things are wherever you are, if there's anything else that you need, any other support that you need from me. Okay, so we need to wrap it up. Very quickly, tell me what you have to do for our next session for the 2nd of December.
Well, first we have to update our reference list.
Oh, sorry, not 2nd of December, 25th of November. 2 weeks time. Yeah, 25th of November, corrected. So this is week 5. So I'm seeing you, inshallah, week 7, Wednesday. So yes, Wawa said, update your reference list. What else?
Read academic articles like involving popular culture, and also find an issue that we can work on, like something that we're interested in, and see if the methodology like interests us and we can use it in our research.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? Okay, any questions for me? All right. So thank you so much for this session. The session is recorded, so it's here. Can always come back to it. We've got our WhatsApp group. Inshallah, I have a very good feeling about all three of you and the research that you are interested in, and because your attitude is quite positive, you know, despite not having any literature background per se. So I'm excited to kind of see the kind of work that we are able to produce together, inshallah. So hopefully, in the next few weeks, you will kind of fine tune your interest a little bit more. If any of you need to see me individually between now and the 25th of November, feel free to meet me up and say, you know, Dr. Ra, can I see you a short while? We can even just do a WhatsApp call. You know, if you need to kind of just talk things through, I'm good with that as well. And sometimes it helps. Don't leave it too extended. In case you've got issues, you've got problems, you know. Okay.
Okay, Doctor, sure.
All right. Okay. So I will see you on the 25th, if not sooner. Let me know how you go, and if you've got any questions, please feel free to message me on the WhatsApp. Okay. Bye bye, everybody.
Thank you, Doctor.
Bye. Thank
Take
you,
care,
Doctor.
everyone.
Much.
Take care too. Bye.